there's this one last story, and New Financial Times and Focal Data poll found that 60%, or 58 to be exact, 58% of US voters believe Trump's war with Iran was not worth the cost, okay, as the conflict continues. So 58% believe the war was not worth the cost. Fine. But that also means 42% believe the war was actually worth the hundreds of billions of dollars.
Right.
That's crazy. That's I understand the majority believe it wasn't worth it, but 42 to believe it's worth it, knowing what we know, knowing the facts, is still a wild number.
When you're repeatedly subjected to the propaganda that Iran's this great terrorist state, that Iran is the most active terrorist supporting nation in the world. Again, all of it's not true, but that's the story that gets put out. And that propaganda does have an effect, and it has created at least a minority buffer that believes that, even though, again, it's not true.
Yeah. Cool, and that's it. The last story is related to Gaza, but I think it'll have a story on Gaza on October 7th, but it's not time sensitive. I'll leave it till tomorrow. But that's it for today. It's mainly Netanyahu's speech, the big protests. Anything on your end?
Well, a question. I have not yet watched your interview with Chris Martenson. I was out busy today, and I'm sorry for my late arrival. You'll be chastising me for that for, months to come. I'll never live it down. But did you get Chris to talk about the difference about the mid distillates, and the difference between the heavy sulfur crude?
No, we're getting specific. I should have written no, because we got too distracted. I wanted to bring that up. That was the main the big topic. I want to talk to him about the price of oil, but we really got carried away. And it was a really good conversation, but we got carried away into the American society, the American system, just the stage we're at. We're Trump talking about the stock market on a daily basis, but the average American looking at their lifestyle and realizing how fucked up it is, and things are not improving. The fact that people voted for Trump expecting at least the end of forever wars,
right,
and at best the debt being addressed, and then for Trump to become like all the other presidents and repeating the same foreign policy and policy as all the others. So we started talking about these things, and even started bringing up the topic of, if we continue going down the path where people try this and try that and try this and try that and nothing works, are we heading to something to, the movie, you should watch the movie Vigilante Citizen, or Citizen Vigilante, that's been going viral. I spoke to the producer a couple of days ago. We brought that up, and are people in the West, in the US, in Europe reaching breaking point if things are not addressed? So that we went really deep in that discussion.
Well, we've
pretty worrying one.
This goes in cycles. We were there actually in the 70s. And Charles Bronson, he played, I think, the first, let's call it modern vigilante in film, in American film history. I think I would be happy to be corrected by someone who's a genuine film buff, but the movie centered around the fact that these thugs broke in, raped and killed his wife, and maybe his daughter, at least his wife. And he went on, the movie is called Death Wish. And he went on a vigilante hunt and was sort of, taking him out. I guess you could say predating that was the Dirty Harry movies with Clint Eastwood. That he was a vigilante cop, taking out the bad guys. But he was at least doing that as a law enforcement officer. The first one who was a genuine vigilante was, I think, Charles Bronson. Made a famous role. And that's been followed up by other sort of these revenge movies.
Willis played Bruce Willis had one called Death Wish as well from a few years ago.
Or Die Hard.
No, he has Death Wish as well. I didn't know.
Oh,
it's called Death Wish. Yeah, they remade it as well. I'm guessing it's the same thing. Yeah, because I've seen the trailer of it. So it's Death Wish with Bruce Willis. If you could play the trailer of it without the audio, Stephanie, I'll just show it for people that don't know. But for Citizen Vigilante, though, The reason it's like people are concerned about it is because it literally touches on a real life issue that people are struggling with, which is the way immigration's been handled in Europe.
Yeah.
And the story, you should really check it out. But it's inspired by a story in Germany where a girl was raped by a few immigrant men, Muslim men, and the judge said one of the boys was also a victim, one of the rapists. And then the mother blamed the girl on a social media post saying that she was raped. She should take some of the blame for being raped because of the way she dresses or something. And it's a pain. And then it's also inspired by the whole gang rape, rape gangs in the UK.
Right.
Yeah, the grooming gangs. Sorry, the gang rape and grooming gangs. So the grooming rings, yeah. So this is what inspired the movie, and this is based on a topic that people are really upset about in Europe, and they keep voting in a new leader based on the fact that we want you to take care of this issue, and then the new leader just does not change their policy about this issue, and eventually this guy in the movie takes matters into his own hands. And the reason, people like Patrick Bet-David, he said on his show, and I played that clip a few days ago. He said, I really expect someone, he said, this is Tommy Robinson. I expect someone to be there, and I expect someone to do something very, very violent, inspired by this movie. But this movie is not going to be the cause of this violence. This movie is an expression of something people are feeling, anger people are feeling. And then how this relates to the US, people are sick of these forever wars. People are sick of the ballooning debt. People are getting sick of that inequality that keeps expanding in the US. And Ray Dalio has been warning about it year after year after year. One of the smartest people in the US, one of the most successful people in the US, just keeps warning that the widening gap in the US is going to cause instability.